Chapter 25, Number 10 on the Mountain and River Ranking. Sword light darted and danced through the mountain woods, stirring up a gust of cyan gale. Wherever it passed, trees were torn apart and boulders were shattered to pieces. The sharp edge of the Lingfeng sword was truly unparalleled. When the spirit wind grand formation carved on it spun to its limit, only a streak of cyan shadow could be seen as it flew. Chilot. With a twitch of his mind, the Lingfeng sword immediately stopped spinning, hovered in front of him, then slid into his sword pouch and lay still. Truly, with a sword in hand, even ghosts and gods cannot stay before me. If I went down to the mortal world, this single sword of mine could take on a whole 1,000-man army. Only if they set an ambush beforehand, and unleashed their strong bows, heavy crossbows, and gunpowder all at once to kill me myself could they stop me. After demonstrating the power of the Lingfeng sword, Fang Han sheathed it, still feeling unsatisfied. He knew that if he went to the mortal world now, he would no longer fear being sieged by an army. Ordinary experts at the mortal body realm, even those who had cultivated to the 10th level divine transformation realm, still feared being sieged by mortal armies. A 1,000-man army, with a handful of experts of the 5th mortal body level, divine strength realm, mixed within, wielding swords, spears, halberds, strong bows and heavy crossbows, could easily surround and kill even a 10th level divine transformation expert. But if one had a spiritual artifact in hand, a single sweep of the sword could pierce through men and armor from miles away with utter ease. A 1,000-man army could do nothing against them at all. A spiritual artifact makes its wielder a match for 1,000 enemies. Now that Fang Han had obtained the Lingfeng sword, his strength had increased greatly. The only flaw was that this sword was somewhat lacking in defensive capabilities. If he faced a dense shower of arrows, he still could not intercept every single one. It could not even carry a person through flight. Only flying swords of the treasure artifact level, truly precious treasures, were both offensive and defensive, capable of splitting light and scattering shadow, and changing into countless forms. For example, it could suddenly transform into a large transparent steel ball, wrap a person inside it, carry the person flying at great speed, block strikes from all kinds of weapons, even sink into the water and roam the underwater world. However, treasure-grade artifacts were extremely rare. Every single one could stir up a bloody storm. Unless one had extraordinary luck or was an important figure of the sect, one could never obtain such a treasure. To forge a treasure artifact, first, one needed special materials, second, one needed an expert of the 9th or 10th level of the secret realm of supernatural powers, or a peerless master who had stepped into the eternal life secret realm. A spiritual artifact is already hard enough to come by. I will not think about treasure artifacts for now. This Lingfeng sword has already been refined by me, but senior sister Mo and her people will definitely not let this go without a fuss. After finishing his practice, Fang Han summoned Crane Fairy again through the 10,000 Beasts token, had her carry him back to Zidian Peak, and rested quietly there for the whole night. The next day, he rode Crane Fairy straight to the central plain of Yuhua Mountain. At the meeting place outside the plain, he saw that Lu Kang and Princess Hongyi each had a spirit crane standing beside them. The cranes were large in size, but none were as graceful and handsome as Crane Fairy. It looks like Princess Hongyi and Lu Kang also have connections with some true disciples. Now that Fang Qingxue has already gone to the Hanhai Desert, could there be another reason why the demonic and evil path have instigated sand bandits to attack Lanyue Kingdom? There are endless power struggles between the 108 true disciples of Yuhua sect. I must be extra careful. Fang Han thought to himself that. Fang Han, you are here? Princess Hongyi saw Fang Han land and hurried forward. People from the Dade Imperial family and senior sister Mo are already waiting for us. Sure enough, just as she finished speaking, more than 10 crane cries rang out from the sky, and a group landed. It was Prince Bao's party from the Dade Imperial family, along with several inner disciples led by senior sister Mo. Fang Han had met all these people before. However, there was one young man who had not joined them before. He stood beside senior sister Mo, wearing a jade green Dao robe. It was not the ordinary ritual robe of outer disciples, nor the waterfire Dao robe of inner disciples. It seemed to be a spiritual artifact itself. That a robe itself could be a spiritual artifact was no trivial matter. It protected the body from invasion by evil spirits, safeguarding the mortal flesh. It was far more important than killing-oriented spiritual artifacts like flying swords. The mortal body was the source of all supernatural powers. Even an expert who had cultivated to the secret realm of supernatural powers had to carefully protect their body. If the mortal body was slain, all supernatural powers would immediately vanish, turning into flying ash. Senior Brother Yuan. Seeing the jade-robed young man, everyone immediately greeted him respectfully. This is Senior Brother Yuan Jiankong, ranked 10th on the mountain and river ranking, Princess Hongyi whispered, nudging Fang Han lightly. Fang Han felt a chill run through his heart. This man was actually a figure on the mountain and river ranking among inner disciples. There were 4,000 to 5,000 inner disciples in total. All of them were at the 9th or 10th level of the mortal body realm, and every one was a master with either top-tier artifacts or spiritual artifacts. Every year, inner disciples held a grand competition. The top 10 experts in the competition earned a place on the mountain and river ranking. At the same time, the sect gave extremely generous rewards to these 10 disciples, either pills or spiritual artifacts, to help them cultivate better and step into the secret realm of supernatural powers to become true disciples. It could be said that the 10 inner disciples on the mountain and river ranking held extremely lofty statuses, even comparable to true disciples, with the power of life and death over others. Their abilities were also extremely formidable. With their magic treasures, they could match up to experts of the secret realm of supernatural powers. A deep sense of oppression welled up in Fang Han's heart just from the presence of such a figure. Senior Brother Yuan, Fang Han called out along with the others. So you are Fang Han, from Zidian Peak? Yuan Jiankong fixed his eyes on Fang Han. Not bad, quite impressive. You took Junior Brother's was Lingfeng's sword? I will tell Fang Qingxue all about this when I see her. This is bad. Yuan Jiankong is clearly hostile to me. Fang Han immediately caught the unfriendly tone in Yuan Jiankong's words. All right, Senior Brother Yuan, the greater good comes first. Let us head to the Hanhai Desert first. Senior Sister Fang of Zidian Peak has already arrived in Lanyue Kingdom. If she gets there first and claims the prize, I am afraid that Inyan Longevity Pill. Senior Sister Mo said lightly. You are right, Junior Sister Mo. Yuan Jiankong gave Fang Han another deep look, waved his hand, and floated directly onto his spirit crane. The crane flapped its wings and soared into the sky. His jade robe seemed to have the ability to allow levitation through the air. Unlike other riders who had to hunch low on the crane's back to avoid being blown off by the high-altitude wind and falling to their death, he stood straight and steady. Let's go. The members of the Dade Imperial family, especially Prince Bao, also mounted their cranes. Prince Bao gave Fang Han a deep look before soaring into the sky. Fang Han, be careful. This trip, it is better to seek no meritorious deeds than to make mistakes. Or, you can choose not to go, Princess Hongyi said, having seen everything clearly. Of course I will go. How can one grow without experience? I even aim to enter the inner sect. Who says there cannot be a place for me on the mountain and river ranking one day? After absorbing the 9 apertures golden pellet, Fang Han unconsciously carried a trace of the overbearing aura of the Yellow Spring Emperor. His words were filled with strong confidence that infected others, and he had completely broken free from the cringing, cowardly, overcautious character of a servant. If these people try to hurt you, I will definitely not stand by. But when we are facing demons, they will not dare to go too far, Lu Kang said with a flick of his finger. Our main goal is to rely on their spiritual artifacts to fend off the flying Yiksha demon generals among the demon cultivators. Let's go. We can talk more after we reach the Hanhai Desert. Fang Han mounted Crane Fairy's back and flew up into the sky, following behind Senior Sister Mo, Yuan Jiankong, and the others, while his mind turned over various possibilities. He knew that seizing the Lingfeng sword and revealing that he hid a powerful magic artifact on his person had already put a target on his back, a disaster that could get him killed. Although these people were all disciples of Yuhua sect, every single one of them was a ruthless, scheming hero from aristocratic clans in the mortal world, not kind-hearted good men. Only the most outstanding children of imperial and aristocratic families were sent to Yuhua sect to cultivate. These people were not only first class in talent and wit, but also first class in cruelty and ruthlessness. The reason these people did not dare to make a move against him right now was not because of sect rules, but because of the deterrence of Fang Qingxue. Fang Han did not believe any nonsense about fellow disciple affection. Fellow disciple affection was thinner than paper when a spiritual artifact was at stake. Yuhua sect did not accept disciples from commoner backgrounds. Commoners were simple and honest, and might not scheme and plot against each other for magic treasures. But disciples from imperial and aristocratic families were different. They had been taught about human relationships and political intrigue since childhood, honed to be incredibly cunning and profit-oriented. They had long brought the scheming habits of the imperial court and aristocratic clans into Yuhua sect. Fang Han knew very well that as soon as he arrived at the Hanhai Desert, they might borrow a demon's blade to kill him and seize his spiritual artifact. Staying in Yuhua sect and not going was the best option he had right now. But even then, those people would find fault with him and take the chance to teach him a lesson, and the end result would still be them seizing his spiritual artifact. It was better to go to the chaotic battlefield and fish in troubled waters. Besides, he needed a lot of actual combat right now. Only experience between life and death could stimulate his spirit and help him step into the 9th level of the mortal body realm, the spirit communing realm. Spirit cranes flew extremely fast through the sky, leaving mountain after mountain far behind them. But every 1 or 2 hours, the group would land to rest. After all, cranes were creatures of flesh and blood. Carrying a person of 100 or 200 jin for a long time was extremely strenuous, and they needed to rest and drink water to replenish their strength. When this group of Yuhua sect disciples rested, they clearly split into separate small cliques. Fang Han, Lu Kang, and Princess Hongyi formed one small group. The 3 men and 2 women from the Dade imperial family formed another. Senior sister Mo and her several inner disciples formed a third. Yuan Jiankong, the mysterious number 10 on the mountain and river ranking, stayed alone. He only spoke to senior sister Mo occasionally and ignored almost everyone else. Around midnight, Fang Han saw that the rolling mountains ahead had disappeared, replaced by an endless expanse of desert. The bright moon hung over the desert, pouring down its cold clear light, making the sand look as if it had been coated with a layer of silver mercury. We have reached the Hanhai Desert. It stretches on endlessly. Lanyue City is right in the center of the desert. We will need to fly for another whole day tomorrow to reach it, so we must rest well tonight and recharge our energy. All the cranes are exhausted. Yuan Jiankong was the first to land his crane in the desert. Seeing this, Fang Han also landed. As soon as this group of inner and outer disciples of Yuhua sect landed in the desert, some lit campfires, some drank water, and some sat in meditation to rest. Fang Han carefully watched over Crane Ferry, keeping all his senses sharp and his eyes on every direction. At the same time, far to the west of the desert, among rolling sand dunes dozens of li away, a pair of eerie demonic eyes had already locked onto them long ago.